with the parents of Reya Shah, Dr. Vinay Shah and Dr. Trushit Shah. Dr. Vinay is a general practitioner and Dr. Trushit is a community dentist. And they obviously have been parents of the really multi-talented and dynamic Reya Shah. And what I wanted to ask them was about what they did as parents to make her such a rounded person, a person with academic skills, with a strong respect for her culture and values, and a person who is also a tremendous, very, very talented artist. So can you share us the formula? What was it, a formula, or was it?
I think it was, it just happened to happen, if you like. I don't think we've done anything different from parents. I'm sure you would have done the same, or will be doing the same. Just grasp the opportunities. I think we've been very fortunate in the kind of circumstances that are around us, which luckily she was able to use.
I mean, surely, I don't believe that. I mean, surely at that time, for example, Indian culture, I mean, you're a Jain by culture. I mean, there wasn't any Jain schools around. How come she knows so much about Jainism? Okay. I mean, that didn't happen. That wasn't just there. I know for a fact, Trushit, that you yourself, took an active interest in the running of the school. You supported the teaching. You took your daughter there, and you effectively, where an institution didn't exist, you almost helped shape it and create it so that you could give the best to your daughter.
I think there wasn't anything, and we were inquiring about it, and luckily they were just about to start the school, and at the inauguration where Shilapiji Maharaj had come, somehow we were wrong and we were asked to go, and I think it went from there. I mean, I think
it was a time when she was around 5, and I think she was already going to a Gujarati school. So the next question was, how do we teach, how do we actually encourage as regards Jain values and Jain culture, which is in a way slightly different from learning the language, and probably to my mind much more important. So we were looking at it, and it was very difficult to find anything. So we were in a bit of a quandary, but as luck would have it, I think the school was about to start. We went to the inauguration, and we were very lucky. And that school was started on a shoestring on a Friday afternoon, after school, Friday evening. So there were a group of parents who were interested, maybe 10, 20 at the most in South London. So I think Reya was 5, maybe 6. They used to take her at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock on a Friday, and for 1.5 hours us parents would sit around, maybe listen to some music or read bits of the Jain path of purification, whilst the other teachers taught her. And I think it went on from there. So it had the kind of development, slowly it developed more young people joined it, and that was a blessing, really.
And she was like a sponge, because I can remember
we used to have lots of comics. They used to have a lot of books.
Jain, comic tales, stories.
Yeah. With very, very, and there used to be a kind of library. They used to have about 30, 40 at a time. So you used to go there, and she used to love books. She always loved books. That's her from a very young age. And she used to just get hold of them and read them. So every week, she'd take 4 or 5, and she would read them. So she was like a sponge at that age. They all are. So that was very good. And again, we were very lucky, inspirational teacher like Kusum Ban and all the other ladies. And I think it went on from there. So Saturday morning she was having Gujarati school. Friday evening she was having Jain classes. And I think it was taught in a very different way from what we were when we were young. It wasn't about learning sutras, but about learning values, ideas, and reasons. They always ask the question, why? I think that's the one thing kids in this country do. You just don't learn Arab fashion. And the way it was taught was very appropriate for children in this country.
But she has also got tremendous creative skills, like languages, like music, like traditional classical Indian dance. I mean, it's quite amazing that she's able to balance all these things together. I mean, were you a dancer or a musician as a child? I mean, how come that if you weren't that you were able to give your child such proficiency and actually invest in your talent?
Again, I think it's luck would have it. That's another area where, I mean, I don't know anything about music or very little, and I think Trushit probably knows more and she's more interested in music than me. But I was very lucky. I have patients who are musicians, and one of them actually asked me, they were going to Calcutta, would I like to buy anything? Would I like them to bring anything back? And I said, look, why don't you get a harmonium? And he said, yes. And that was the introduction. So when I told Trushit, right, I've got a present for you. Reya was around 5, so she went and got it, and to her surprise, it was this £500 harmonium, perfect working order, and she knew how to play. And the lady was a music teacher, so she said, why, let's start music lessons. And that's how she got interested. Her mother was doing it, so she would learn the instrument as well. Mm-hmm. And again, sort of every Wednesday after school, sort of 3:30, I would drop her, pick her up, drop her, and she would stay there for an hour and a half, and learn the basics of classical music at a very young age. And I think we're very lucky in having a teacher of that caliber who could inspire a child. And I think we ourselves couldn't have done it. It's just the availability.
I think Swapna Ji now has a lot of students from our Jain community now who go to her in the last few years. Possibly Reya was one of the first ones that she had.
So she probably was the first one. Yeah. So I think that was again, in a sense, luck and being aware and opportunity.
Yeah. What about as a teenager? Usually most parents find that they actually lose their child when they reach teenage years, and the teenager rebels and really kind of gives up. But it seems that somehow she managed to survive the teenage years, and she managed to keep her artistic ability, her academic and everything. And somehow, was there a peer group at work here? Was there something that helped her?
I think they all go through the same pressures, and one of the things you may find if you talk to lots of parents is, especially for Gujarati school, what happens is the boys get taken out when they're about 12, 13, 14 with the spurious reasons that they have to concentrate on their academic work, or they want to go and play cricket or play do judo or whatever. And that you could see that was going to happen. So she went through a phase where she rebelled and she said, I don't want to go,
Because it's
my
early
friends
morning,
don't want to
waking
go.
up early.
This is getting up at 8 o'clock.
7
or 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and then spend the whole Saturday morning learning Gujarati. So I think we were quite clear, look, that's not going to happen, you have to learn it.
I just turned around and said to her, well, that's today, then tomorrow you'll say you don't want to go to school. And is that what we're going to do then? So I said, no, at this point you're going. When you're old enough to make your decisions, then we'll see. And I think she went through that phase. It was about a year, 2 years maybe, when it was a chore. But while she's there, she also enjoyed, because Gujarati school was not just learning Gujarati. They had a lot of other activities. They have at least 2 programs. They have a prefecture. Sure. They also have award ceremony where they also have another program. So it was also all that she got involved with, and Reya was always involved from a very young age.
Just listening to you, I get the impression that although your daughter has achieved so much, it wasn't as if you set out to be ambitious in terms of her grades or her achievements. It was more like you both as parents wanted to give her the best of opportunities and the best of possibilities, and then let the results come for themselves. So you weren't so obsessive about the outcomes, but you were definitely keen to give her the best opportunity. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I think so. By the time she was in GCSEs, we were fairly confident that her abilities were there. So yes, there were times when we did push her in the sense that if she really came up with really, really poor results, which I don't think has ever happened actually. But there was a time where she was so disorganized that she didn't have her work, never handed homework in and so on. Then yes, we did take action like any other parent would. But because the ability was there, definitely. By that time you know your child. And
I think you're right. I think it's the opportunity, giving them the opportunity, being aware what opportunities exist and what might be beneficial, and let them take it. And I think all you do is you just light the flame, really, and that's all you do, you inspire them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do as parents, and I don't think you can do anything else. And I think at the end of the day, if you can do that, you've achieved it.
So effectively, what you're saying is that you try to find out what your child likes to do, try to encourage those activities, try to find their inner light, and give them the chance to shine, and give them the opportunity to shine, even if that means that you have to sacrifice some of your own luxuries, some of your own holiday time. You have to sacrifice running around for them, going and dropping and picking up, etc., etc. But there is in the culture of India, there is this sense that if you can, you must give the best of opportunities to your child.
And also to try out. I mean, to encourage her to try things, everything, and then see from there whether she will get on with it or not. She's not very, she's an all-rounder in some sense, but she's not very good at sport, and she knows it, and we know it now as well. But she still tried. I mean, we still encourage her to do fencing. She decided she wanted to do fencing for a while, so she did fencing, she did netball, all those, so the usual things. She's not brilliant at it, but the opportunity was taken up, and that's how she found out. She did tennis for a while and so on.
Fantastic.
But it's all to try out everything while she's young.
I think we're very lucky in the community where we live, where there are these opportunities. I think it's also a question of opportunities. Us as parents wouldn't have been able to teach her Gujarati or teach her music or teach her, the fundamentals of Jainism in a way that would be appropriate for a child of her age.
We've got fantastic
we are very lucky to be part of a community where these opportunities exist, and they're not necessarily kind of monetary related. It's not that you have to be rich to be able to partake of them, but they can be provided for most people.
I think it's to recognize that it is important in your overall development, that sometimes it's not just academic that you need. I mean, fortunately she was bright enough to balance everything, and yes, I agree that sometimes you do have to think and give up certain things around important exam times and so on. But she's been fortunate that she was able to continue with most of her things throughout, because I think exams weren't that much of a problem for her.